I had lived in New York City for 20 years, and then I moved to southern Vermont in 1981. And I worked partly in Rutland, but I lived in Dorset.
Mary McKhann came to Vermont in part for her love of skiing and recalls how that love for the sport began.
My uncle was from Cambridge, and he had skied at Stowe back in when they didn't even have lifts. He and his wife took me skiing for the first time when I was 15 as sort of a break from boarding school. I had no idea what I was doing. And I think one of the first times I went, I sprained my ankle. It was just this whole kind of almost cult-like, we were kind of special.
Mary's first job in Vermont was teaching at Bromley. But taking pictures of her son ski racing led her into a job with the local Manchester Journal.
I started working there just typing press releases and developing film. Then I was asked if I wanted to do reporting, and I said great, and I loved it. But we had no sports coverage, so I was at ski races on weekends and figured, well, I'll just take some pictures. And so I took some pictures, and then I wound up sort of writing about the races, and all the local parents of ski racers seemed to appreciate that.
Mary went from the local paper to working for and commuting to the Rutland Herald, but she also took up a new sport.
I'd gone to a bunch of US Opens, and when I was living in Manchester, it was just when snowboarding was taking off. I interviewed Jake Burton when he was still in Manchester in the 80s, and I thought, well, why not? I snowboarded for about 15 years until pretty recently, when I decided I like balancing on 2 feet better than on a tippy board. Although I'd happily, if we had a good powder day, I'd happily pull my snowboard out and take it for a ride.
Mary was still working at the Herald when the opportunity to work for Ski Racing magazine came up.
It wasn't just ski races and results, it was about the politics of the FIS and the politics of USSA, and some really interesting articles. I went to 2 world championships in Vail. I went to the Olympics in Lillehammer. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot harder back then in the pre-internet, days, because we had to make phone calls to Europe, and the races in Europe were, the hours were very strange.
Mary was hired to be the editor of the snow industry newsletter, TSIL, which at the time was owned by Bob Gillen, who Mary credits with teaching her the ropes.
My writing experience, although it had been mostly in the area of racing and politics of the ski industry, and this TSIL is geared more towards resorts, so there was a pretty good learning curve there.
When Bob Gillen unexpectedly passed away, Mary bought TSIL.
One of the guys from NSAA insists on calling it TISL, but they can call it whatever they want as long as they read it. I think it's important for people in the ski industry to know what's going on, and if somebody's being sued for negligence, or if somebody's building a $10 million village. It's sort of need-to-know news. Finding all the news about the ski industry in one spot is useful. I'm still having fun with it. It does get a little relentless sometimes, the 48 issues a year, but I can actually, do it from anywhere. Yeah, I just kind of forged ahead without really knowing what I was doing, and kind of got lucky, I guess. I'm not making a fortune, but I've certainly had a good life and good career.
Mary McKhann, a Paul Robbins Ski Journalism Award.